All right, welcome back, Donington National. This can be a fun track. It can also be a little scary. Very easy to lose it on this track. So iRacing setup a fair bit different than the iRacing setup. Ride height is much lower. There is a curb to go over, but even at this ride height, you can still go over it quite well. So minus 17 in the front, damper compression 20. Again, there is a fair bit of hills here, but I don't find them too disruptive. Brake bias is pretty important on this track. So everyone's got an individual brake bias, but watch out. At 57.5%, I found the front end is loading up just too much and the back end is getting too light. As I said, there are a lot of hills here for braking. So really watch that. Um, if you find the back end is kicking out way too easy for you, there's a pretty good chance your brake bias might need to go up a little bit. You just do not want to load up that front end very much. You have to keep that back end balanced. Spring rates, low as they go in the front. Camber, you know I like to change around the cambers. 1.9 on the left, 1.6 on the right. Go with the higher value if you want to uh, just have those cambers symmetrical. Toe in 1.2 in the front. Surprisingly, you don't need more turn in than that. So 1.2 in the front. Spring rates in the rear, low as they go, 35, and camber again, 1.5 on the left, 1.3 on the right. So what you need to do is, if you want to keep those symmetrical, go with the 1.5, and toe in 0.3. Tire temp is a little bit of an issue here. You could probably turn that up maybe to 0.4, maybe 0.5 if you really want to improve your braking a little bit, but you have to watch those tire temps. And in the rear, ride height 1 millimeter higher than the front, minus 16. ARB is 20. You do want to go, you do need the rotation around this track. It's really important in a lot of fast corners, and you need to get the car rotated to get on the throttle earlier. Damper compression 6 and 18, kind of as usual. Fuel levels 14 liters. That is getting pretty down to the wire, so you may want to go with 15 liters just to be safe. And gear stack standard. Yeah, standard is good. You're getting close to the rev limit. If you are drafting off someone, you will be probably just hitting the rev limit into the braking zone. So standard is where you want to be. All right, and new, I'm trying to download the setup to the RAY forum, the iRacing forum for the RAY. So check it out there. I will post it as soon as I am able to. Alright, so we will get into the guide. Track is 20 degrees, 30% usage. Watch out, there is rain in the forecast for this week. So this is a dry setup. This is a dry run, but watch out, there could be some rain. Alright, so we will get into this in slow-mo and then run it out at full speed. Coming into turn 1, fourth gear. Looking for the blue marker here. Getting onto the blue stuff, do not, I believe if your right hand tire crosses the white line here, you do get an X, so watch out for that. And looking for the blue cone here, gonna brake just after it, hard on the brakes, down into second gear. This is a hard braking zone. This does open it up, so watch out. There will be people going up the inside for sure if you are in a close race. Releasing the brakes as you turn in, and it's really important to release the brakes as you turn in. You can see the track gets a little bit off camber, so release the brakes, pick up the throttle just a little bit just to keep that back end planted, and watch out. Get onto the curbs, but do not go over the curbs. There is a very nasty lip here. If you go over the curbs, you are going to catch this lip, and it is very disruptive. You are going to have a bad day if you hit that the lip of that curb. And then just unwinding the wheel, shifting up the gears, and using all the curb here on exit. You can get, I think, onto the sandy patch here. If you get on the grasscrete though, I do think it's an X. and for sure if you are on the grass, you will get an X. Not the end of the world, but just watch out for that. That will ruin your quali lap. And then it's also important here, minimize the steering input. You can actually scrub some speed here if you get really hard onto the steering to crank it over to the right. So gently go over to the right. It's not going to cost you a lot of time, but it is going to cost you some time. And then just get onto the curb here just to kind of cut this corner a little bit. Now coming down here, you want to get onto the grass here, or the sand, just to open this up a little bit. Don't get too greedy. If you get too far over there, it is an X. And still in fourth gear, and just a little baby lift here coming up. Just to, if you come in here too hot and you're sliding wide, you are going to screw yourself up for the next corner. You do not want your car to be any way sideways for this corner, so you have to keep that car straight. And what you're looking for is the white line here. You want to get the car parallel with that. Make sure the steering is straight when you get onto the brakes. And then just sort of you're aiming for the blue curbs here, steering wheel straight, getting on the brakes, shifting down into third gear. Not a hard blast of brakes, but a bit of blast of brakes, and then just picking up the throttle just to keep that back end planted. And you want to cut this corner here as much as possible. If you're on the curb, you're fine. I think you can just graze the sand there. You won't get an X. If you really cut this corner, though, you will get an X. And I think there is also a slowdown, so watch out for that. And then just watch the wheel input. If you're cranking the wheel too hard through here, you are probably going to spin. And if you came in too hot, you are going to run wide and get onto this grass. If you get onto this grass, there will be lots of people getting onto this grass. Just watch your wheel inputs. If you turn the wheel too hard, you are going to spin and go right across the track. So just watch out for that. And I believe you can just graze the grass crete here. I'm not quite sure what the X is, but there is an X there on exit, so watch out for that. Don't get too greedy. In a race, not such a big deal, but for your quality lap, that will kill it. And then just straight lining it, going for the curb here, cutting this corner. Alright, so you want to cut this corner here. Make sure your right hand tire is over the white line. Otherwise you do get an X. And then just minimizing the wheel input. And you don't actually want to get all the way over to the right here. You don't have to open this corner up. It is not a very, I don't even know if this counts as a corner. It's just a bend in the track. If you go way over, you're just extending the track. It's not going to cost you much time, but it does leave the door open, and it does cost you a little time. So mid-track, and getting onto the curbs here again, cutting this corner as much as you can without getting that X. And then a little bit of a lift. You don't want to come in here too hot and be sliding again. And then it's right after the end of the curbs here. Just getting on a bit of brakes, shifting down into second. I would like to do this corner in third, but it is just, you come in too hot in third and the RPMs are too low. So just a brief shift down into second gear, and then as soon as you get the car kind of turned around the corner here, shifting back up into third, getting on the throttle nice and early, because you can lose a lot of time here if you are late on the throttle. And then again, just managing the throttle. Again, if you come out here wide, you will get an X. You'll get on that grass, and it is easy to spin out. And up the hill, there's no real great marker here. It's just a few car lengths before the crest of the hill. Shifting down into second, not too hard on the brakes. And the important thing is to start picking up the throttle nice and early before the apex. Getting on the curb here, you can touch that the gravel, the sand, and picking up the throttle nice and early. I came out here maybe just a little bit too wide, but it's not the end of the world, but maybe just a little tighter line there. And then again, working your way up in the gear. This is a double apex, so make sure you're catching the curbs here on exit. Big passing opportunity, obviously. So just coming over the crest of the hill here, you can use the brake or the turn marker here, but just over the crest of the hill, getting onto the brakes, shifting down into second, real hard on the brakes. This is the hardest braking spot, and you have to get on the brakes early because you have to turn in here early. You want to cut this curb as much as possible. With this ride height, it is not disruptive. This curb is very easy to go over, but you want to be on the gas before you go over this curb. Really important because this corner you can lose so much time here. Easily half a tenth. But you don't really want, I don't want to get onto this curb. If you have a really high ride height, maybe you can without it being too disruptive, but I do not like to get onto that one. And then just getting on the throttle, unwinding the wheel, use all the curb on exit, and then it is just a straight line to the finish. There is a bit of distance to the finish here, so if you do have a run on somebody, there is a chance for an overtake perhaps, so don't give up. And that is a lap. So 11.7. So that's in the dry. Hopefully you catch a dry one. We'll run this out at full speed. Good luck out there. We'll see you next time.